Welcome to Optimize Your Success. I am Jack Scott, the Chief Operations Officer at the Mentor Project. I am extremely excited to introduce your host and a mentor at the Mentor Project, Dr. Ruth Gotian. Dr. Gotian is a Chief Learning Officer and Assistant Professor of Education and Anesthesiology. She is the former Assistant Dean of Mentoring and Executive Director of the Mentoring Academy at Weill Cornell Medicine. She is a contributor to Forbes and Psychology Today, where she writes about optimizing success. Throughout this podcast, Dr. Gotian will discuss topics and pose questions that high performers deal with on a daily basis. We're excited you're here with us today. Welcome to Optimizing Your Success.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Ruth Gotian, and welcome to the Mentor Project's Optimizing Your Success. And we are going to have such a good time. We have a rowdy bunch. We have a funny bunch. We have an incredible bunch of people today. And I really want to talk about today's topic, which I've been thinking about for a long time, because when I started my professional career a long, long time ago, I started in a role where 3 weeks after I started, I was supposed to host 25 people for an interview day. And about 10 months after I started, I was supposed to help write a 1,000-page government grant to the National Institutes of Health. I didn't even know people's names, let alone how to put together these grants. I've never written one before. I was lost. I was completely lost. So I reached out to a person who was doing this job longer than anyone else. Turns out we were both going to be at the same conference in Aspen, Colorado. So we called each other up. This is before email. And we said, all right, let's meet at the bottom of the mountain and we'll have dinner together. And we had dinner. And for the entire time on the base of the mountain in Aspen, Colorado, I was peppering her with questions. She didn't kick me away, so she kept answering the questions, which was fantastic. And that friendship, which has lasted for 25 years, grew to include other people who were doing the same role that I was doing at other institutions, often competitor institutions. And one of those people is here tonight, so I'm really excited. Now, what is so great is that group, hey, Tana, that group became a really, really tight bond. Even though many people have already retired, I think there's only one left in the role. People went on to do other jobs. We still get together, and we actually gave ourselves a name. And we would often ask each other for guidance. We'd ask each other for perspective. Whenever we were going to try something new, we always said, has anyone ever tried this before? Any ideas, any pitfalls I should consider? Or if you hit a snag, does anyone know how to get out of this mess? And this really, really helped. And that's a tribe. That's a tribe of people. They don't have to look like you. They don't have to be the same age or gender or ethnicity. They don't have to be doing the exact same thing as you. But there is a common thread that unites you, and that becomes your tribe. And in the adult learning world, we call that a community of practice, which is becoming more of a mainstream word, which you may be hearing about, community of practice. So many of the people who are on this call are actually from two of my communities of practice. Well, three, if you include that original one that I told you about. So that original one was a professional one. These were people who were doing what I was doing at competitor institutions, but we all had the same types of jobs. So we would get together and compare notes. The other one is a group that I get together with every Saturday night for an event that is actually hosted by one of the people in this group. Hey, Dr. Susan. We have all met and we're part of this conference. And what we just started doing throughout the pandemic is we started getting together virtually and socially just to laugh. And people are actually learning from each other. And there are many collaborations and many friendships that have formed from that as well. And finally, there's the Mentor Project that has almost 70 mentors on it. We actually get together every single week virtually where we get to learn from each other. So these are 3 different tribes that I am a part of. And these are the groups where there is a common thread that we all have. So with that, I am hoping each and every person here can introduce themselves, say who they are, and what is the common thread? What tribe are you in? And what's the common thread that you all have? Now, remember, there's a lot of us on this call. I don't want to spend half of it with introductions. So keep it short, like a tweet length, right? You have 140 characters to let me know who you are and who is in your tribe. Janice Lentz.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi.
I'm Janice Lentz, CEO of Hearing Access and Innovations, and my tribe within this group is Renaissance Weekend.
Thank you. JJ.
Oh, and Saturday night, of course.
Saturday night. We get together Saturday night.
I love it. Hi, Lieutenant Colonel JJ Snow. I am the CTO with the Mentor Project and also part of Ren Weekend.
Fantastic. Patrick.
Hackathon. And what am I here for? Leave the world better than I got it.
Oh, I love that. Rich, and I don't know where your other half is.
I'm speaking on behalf of Roland since we're twins. Okay. But yeah, Rich McCullough, co-founder of Partsmoney. I guess my tribe is the Mentor Project. And big thank you for JJ for looping us in.
Fantastic. Chris, we are envious of your palm trees.
It's still light enough you can see them, so that's good. So
Barely.
my name's Chris. Barely, yeah, it's getting to that point. So my name's Chris, and I actually got introduced to the Mentor Project from Patrick, which has been great, and I am taking on the role of getting some podcasts done and hoping to get those going.
Love it. And Jana Marie Tutalman, she's going to introduce herself in a minute, but remember that first community of practice I told you about where I met the original member at the base of a mountain in Aspen, Colorado? Well, Jana was one of the first people I met there in Colorado, and we've known each other and we still get together. That community of practice still gets together every 2 weeks throughout the pandemic. Jana.
I guess that means we can't call ourselves the Royal Court. We're a community of practice now.
You can tell them about that.
What would you like me to tell you about myself?
Well, no, it's who you are and what's the common thread. What is your community of practice that you're a part of, your tribe?
Oh my, well, I've discovered many tribes, but when you said the topic was going to be, how do you find your tribe? I gave some thought to that. And what I discovered at the bottom of all of, the connections that I've made is that I started out trying to create relationships with people who know more than me about what I want to do, right? So people who are always a step ahead of me are the people who I want to be in their tribe, right? And so I made connections and I started creating relationships with people after retiring and leaving, academics and all of that, going into entrepreneurship. It's a whole nother animal out there and it operates differently. Nothing is working in the world the way I was taught, 100 years ago. So I needed to learn. So I found people who are even 10 steps ahead of me, already like successful and where I want to be. And so those are the people who have become my new tribes that I've connected to. So I think it's really important when you're choosing your tribe to pick people who are way ahead of you and get into their tribe, because that's how you learn. I mean, like you mentioned, and it just fits right in, is how I know who you met at the bottom of the mountain, right? And I actually had the same exact experience. I was 18 years old. I walked into this office and they said, write this grant. It's 500 pages. And I said, I never wrote a grant before in my life. And she said, you'll learn. Read the instructions from the NIH and follow them. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And that was
no
it.
Small task.
So I called the same person you called. And that would be our queen. And she was more than gracious to, help and advise and everything. So I think that's what I've always done. And that's been my practice of my community, I suppose.
Community of practice. Thank you.
Community of practice.
Susie, what is your tribe?
Okay, well, I'm Susie Katz, and I have an organization called Photo Wings, and we can talk more about that. But my tribe would be Renaissance Weekend, amongst others, and I become part of the Mentor Project. It looks like I'll be involved in several capacities, which I'm looking forward to. And I would just say that I think the common thread is we all have kind of a generosity of spirit and an insatiable curiosity, and we like one another.
That is true. Dr. Susan Bernstone.
Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be with all of you tonight because many of you are part of my tribe. So my tribe is Renaissance Weekend. My tribe is, I am the host of the Saturday nights that you're hearing about. I'm also a part of the Mentor Project tribe, and I do the public access television and podcasting and some other things. And I'm also a therapist. And I just want to add one thing, is that I'm a little bit late in this tribe game. I grew up in this environment and belief system of doing it by yourself. And it took me a really long time to go, wait a second, not only is it okay to ask others, it's really important to be a part of. And I'll never forget the first time, and it doesn't mean I wasn't part of communities, I was, but it didn't feel like when I first went to Renaissance Weekend, it was like, oh my goodness, this is my tribe. This is what I felt so comfortable with. And then from there, created other relationships and connections. So for those of you that might be young listening out there, it is really okay to go to those people that are successful. Some people are really uncomfortable and they think that, you know, and we've talked about this on other calls, to be able to just be comfortable in the not knowing and say, hey, help me with this. It's really important to do that. And so maybe you're not so young and you haven't been able to figure that out yet. I just, you know, I almost want to challenge everyone that's out there to go and just, you know, just open yourself up and dare to just ask somebody something about something that you're working on that knows more than you in that area. And then it will lead you to a tribe, a new tribe.
That's true. And there's no limit to how many tribes you can be a part of.
Absolutely.
In the dark, without electricity, Moonmark Mary. Mary, you're muted. There she goes.
I am. So thank you, Susie, for this cell phone really wretched caller here. So I'm Mary Hagee, and Chris, you and I, you have more light on you than I do, but my tribe is the Mentor Project. So my background and what I'm doing here is that Moonmark is going to take the work of young people onto the moon in 2021. And that's what we're doing. And I cannot think of another more wonderful group of people that I could have around me for support and encouragement and, you know, making this happen. So that's me.
Thank you. And I hope you get your electricity back soon.
Well, thank you. I do have a fire, so I probably have like a little light over here.
Thank you. Pam Teagarden.
I will remember to unmute myself. Thank you. I am a member of a couple of tribes that people have mentioned, the Renaissance Weekend, and I consider myself a transient, I don't know if you can be a stepchild or a prodigal tribe member of the Saturdays and the Mentor Projects, because when I'm available, I love it. And I think I would echo what people have said about looking for things like generosity and openness and curiosity. But I also imagine that there's an element, I really look for differences, not just the people that are 10 feet in front of me and that sort of thing, which are also wonderful. But I really appreciate the fact that the diversity of the spirits around me just make me consider a lot more, even if I don't always take up the mantle and go in the direction that everyone else has gone. I sort of enjoy the experience via them. And I think what also has not been mentioned so far is that we look for what we need mentally and emotionally and such. And I feel like one of the things that my tribes give me now and that I search for in them is flexibility, because I travel a lot or have traveled a lot. It's now COVID, nobody goes anywhere, but living between continents, I've always been the one who would pay it forward and then go and speak to somebody that I hadn't spoken to in a year, and it was like yesterday. And so the rigidity of some of the tribal norms or such can sort of run counter to my lifestyle and my ability to give and take and the right reciprocity. So a little bit of the values I instill in myself and the tribes I look for, and then the differences. So that combination, that symbiosis is really nice. But I smile, and part of the reason we were all laughing is because it's lovely to come back in touch with your tribes like we do when we start the Zoom. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
It's awesome.
And coming to us from the closet that I want, Dr. Bruce Y. Lee.
This is my tribe here.
Oh, that is awesome.
We just sit around, watch
it's better
movies,
than what he had Saturday night. Saturday night he had a toilet paper outage background.
So this is my tribe. We watch movies, and the main problem is there's just a lot of kitty litter involved. So that's really a very problematic. But otherwise, it's a fun tribe. I guess we can talk about this later. But my path has crossed many different fields. So I guess I've interfaced with different tribes. But in some ways, the tribe that I belong to is the tribe of people that don't fit the traditional tribes. So cross different tribes.
I think you've hit every single person here. None of us are square pegs in round holes. I mean, we all are square pegs in round holes. None of us fit into a box with a nice, neat bow.
I was once told by a medical professor that who said, "You're different. People don't like different."
Mm.
So
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I hear you. Jax. And Jax and I have been chatting on social media.
Yeah.
We get to actually
days,
talk.
I think we have our one-on-one tomorrow, which I'm ecstatic about.
Oh, is it tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it is tomorrow, if I remember correctly.
Yay.
It's this week. I know it's this week. So, hey, everybody, Jax. I'm the COO for the Mentor Project. But I think the biggest string is JJ Snow. She is the one that has recruited me, and I owe her so much. We've been friends for a couple of years, and it's amazing to be part of this tribe. So happy to be here.
Thank you. And last but not least, Liana.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. So what was the question that you were asking? How do we find our tribe? Did you ask a question?
Well, we didn't get there yet. Who are you and what tribe are you a part of?
I am Liana Shauli. So what tribe am I a part of? Well, I can tell you that I am born into a real tribe, Persian Jewish tribe. And I say that because I have 96 first cousins. That doesn't even include their children. So when you ask me about tribes, I go, shit, man, I'm the queen of tribes because I know all about that. And what's interesting about that is that like Susan and I, Dr. Susan and I, we have like so many similarities. Maybe because of the family I was born into or the way that I'm the firstborn of 3 and my mother was sick a lot and my father was gone a lot. My mantra was, if it's to be, it's up to me. And that mantra does not really leave a lot of room for engagement with the tribe or going out and asking for help. And And like Susan, I came to the party a little late, but I am the life of the party now. I can tell you that. So the tribal culture and bringing people to a space that has diversity of tapestry, I have found to be very, very important. And as an outlier, I started creating a tribe of my own because everywhere I went, I was like a thorn in people's sides and nobody liked it. And people were going, no, you can't say that and you can't do that and you can't act that way and you laugh too loud and you smile too big and don't say the F word. And I said, you know what, this is all bullshit. I'm going to go do my own tribe. So now that I've created my own tribe, I'm finding the Mentor Project and I'm finding Renaissance Weekend. And I'm going, wow, if it's to be, it's up to me was the piece that got me there. And now I get to be with all of you guys. And I love it.
And now here we are. And Liana, I want you to just check something with your sound. I'm hearing just a little bit of like a motor running.
Yeah, that's why I turned my sound off.
Ah.
Because my computer is broken, so I apologize.
Okay. So we're going to talk about how to find a tribe, especially if you are like me, if you are like every single person here. There is no checkbox that we fit into. It doesn't exist. And it's taken us a lot of time and a lot of effort to really find our people. It's really about finding your people. So, Jana, I'm hoping you can tell everyone very briefly how we started the Royal Court. Tell everybody what is the Royal Court, and this briefly, what is the Royal Court and how we started it? Because those are our people, and why it's called the Royal Court. And you have to go off mute, though.
Okay. Got it. So yes, the Royal Court. Well, we were in a big conference and the guy talking was boring the hell out of me and offering something that I was absolutely not going to be a part of at the NIH. So I just sat there getting creative because I'm kind of like the Pied Piper and I love to make parties and create fun. And, you know, my license plate on my car is full of fun. So I wanted to make sure everybody had fun that night at our Queen's birthday party. I think she was turning 60 maybe at the time. And so I sat there thinking about what could I do? And I worked at the Renaissance Fair for about 14 years, being a wonderful peasant woman and a great wench. And it was a lot of fun. And so I thought we should have a royal court. And so because everyone was at a different university, I was able to come up with, you know, the Baroness of Baylor. And we had, you know, Lady Welling from Hopkins. And so I just gave everybody a name. And that night at dinner, I gave everybody the opportunity to accept the responsibilities of being in this royal court and what they had to do in order to do it, which was go buy a crown. And that wasn't easy for these girls from New York because they were not going to wear a crown and they weren't going to wear color. They're only going to wear black. So eventually they all got on board. They all got a crown and we had a wonderful time. So, I'm really good at creating tribes. And as Liana said, I'm definitely the person who's going to, create my own tribe. I mean, I found people in mentorship programs who will push me out of my box and see in me what I don't see in myself. So I therefore am going to create, my mentorship program is around the same concept. I see in you what you don't see in yourself, and I'm going to help guide you there. And so what I do and how I operate is all in total alignment together.
I love it. And yes, we actually did wear crowns and we were forced to wear tiaras, and it got a little bit out of hand because we actually started wearing these tiaras to the future conferences just to keep ourselves amused. You try sitting next to a lot of academics with a tiara on your head. Anyway, has anyone else created their own group of people, their own tribe? And I do want to say before we I call on the next person, and I really don't need to call, this is not third grade. Some people were asking what is Renaissance Weekend? Renaissance Weekend is an invitation only conference where a lot of thought leaders get together, and it's completely off the record, and you get to learn from some of the most incredible minds in the world. And there's nothing, very often they don't have a lot in common, but they do have this love of learning and learning without judgment, which I think is what is so incredible. Pam, you're going to tell us about how you found your people.
I was just going to say, I've spent my adult life in Russia and China, where I don't look that Chinese. And, my tribes were not necessarily obvious, except for the potential of maybe expats. And what I found was that there were two different ways that people I knew were joining tribes. One was the one they should be a part of. And that was the one that, you're a banker, you need to belong to this, and you need to go here. And I thought, okay, I'm hearing I need to, I should, I want, everybody wants me to go there. And I didn't necessarily get what I needed. I might have gotten some things I needed, but not necessarily, all of what we now consider a tribe. And so I found that I had to find myself first. And I had to let go of the Joneses that I would keep up with, because there were none. In Siberia, I was a banker, now I'm in corporate psychology. So it's like, what are we going to do? Let's put out that fire. And I began to find that I, like someone just said a moment ago, I started tribes, and attracted people in, and then, sort of maneuvered that way. But I think first I had to find myself, and more of myself than just what I do for a living. And then let go of any comparison, so that it was an individual pursuit that I was on, a very authentic career, authentic life, authentic whatever, not always perfect, and certainly not always easy, but more simple, and the tribe, you sort of trip on them at that point. You trip into the place where you need to be, because you're surrounding yourself with the people you would, not that you should be with, but the people that you feel you need to be with. And it's a beautiful journey from that point forward, when you find exactly, not what you should do, but what you want to do. So I don't know if that made sense.
I love it. And everyone lifts each other up, right?
Yeah. And I think that when we spoke about openness and generosity and positive, everyone used different words of similar definitions. But I think that, your life journey changes course. And so when you're rooted in who you are and what it is you are, not just your job, then you're just more focused, in the sense that you see on the horizon more opportunities for tribalness, whatever the word would be. And you might have missed them otherwise, because you should be over here, so that's just been the greatest advice of my tribal world.
I love it. And JJ, I'm dying to hear your perspective on this, especially as someone who's been in the military for her entire professional career.
Well, that's definitely a big tribe, Ruth. So I've met a lot of amazing people there, and the military is really unique, right? Because you have this incredible diversity of people from across the nation, all backgrounds, all different beliefs, diversity of perspective, age. It's incredible. But the really cool piece, especially working in innovation, comes from that diversity of thought piece. And the story I want to share here is, in a lot of cases, people are uncomfortable stepping into new environments or working with new technologies or challenging themselves in a new way. And so I like to push those boundaries. And one of the ways I did this was I participate in Silicon Valley Comic-Con. I'm a life member. I love to get out there. I love the science fiction. I love the science fact. The two combined brings us into the future. And so I would go and I'd get dressed up. And people are like, oh my gosh, we can't do that. We're in our 30s, we're in our 40s. Oh my God, we can't dress up as superheroes. I said, why not? I said, well, you wouldn't do that. I said, yeah, I am. I'm totally dressing up as super. So I started going.
I know Jana's loving this.
And, yeah, and it was great. Everybody was so excited. Yeah, Jana, come on, we're going.
I'm in.
Liana's like, me too. So I went the first year, and I had 3 people come with me, and they were super shy coming out of their hotel rooms to go down to the convention center in their costumes. But then people started coming up and getting pictures taken, and it was really fun. So the next year it was 5 people. The year after that, we were 30 people. Now there's an over 30 cosplay group. There's an over 40 cosplay group. There's an over 50 and over 60 cosplay group. And they all get together at the convention. They wear their costumes and they talk about the design, the characters that inspired it, what that meant to them personally. And they're able to be there and geek out and be their authentic selves. And that is an amazing, beautiful thing. Everybody's positive and having fun and just celebrating their own unique creativity.
And Rich is nodding like he knows exactly what you're talking
Rich,
about.
you know, right?
I'm like seeing him. He's like Captain
I'm
America.
resonating. I'm resonating with it.
Yes, you know. Yeah. So that was one of the big ones that jumped out to me because so many people have grown up with comics or superheroes or science fiction or fantasy, and they love that. That was a part of who they became. Their creativity came out of a lot of those stories. And so being able to go back to that uninhibited childlike state and be creative and think outside the box and just be in the zone, that's a lot of fun. I think it's so important to what we do as innovators and even as creative thinkers, because it pushes us into an area where we're constantly learning and growing. And that's exciting. That's a lot of fun.
I'm wondering if it made them more creative.
In some cases, yes, because we had really interesting discussions, not just about the costumes or the stories, but what would happen when we combined all of those, or we would combine technology in interesting ways. And those became innovation narratives that then became innovation narratives around social impact. And these turned from a fiction into a reality that started to help a lot of people.
Wow. I want to see a picture.
I was just going to say, you have to check out.
I'll find one. I'll find one.
We included JJ. We included it in the video. So there's an interview that I'm doing with JJ. We get into this discussion, and at the end of the video, we include pictures of her in dress up.
I love it.
What were you dressed up as?
So I was, I think the ones that I sent to Susan were a Gamora. Did I send Black Widow? I don't know if I sent.
That's awesome.
I did. I had
there was three of them. Yeah. And did you send Doctor Who too?
I did. I did the Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who this last year. So I'll see if I can find a few. I'll hold them.
Wow. I just have a tiara.
That's a great start. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
I'm going to go get my tiara. But Ruth, what's so interesting about this, and I think that now that you're asking this question, what comes to me is that when I was living in Germany, I mean, I didn't come to the States until I was 25. My daughter was 7 years old. I packed up everything and I totally left the country and came to a new place to live. And I remember the way that I wanted to find my people was that I would meet people on the street with other people, just very, very simple connections. And then I would throw these salons, dinner parties, and there was a theme around the dinner party and people would tell stories about their life. And what was interesting about that, because we were playing like a game of tell the story of your childhood or tell the story of adversity, you'd get to, in those dinner parties, you'd get to know people very, very quickly. So the walls would come down, you'd immediately know something very intimate about their life. And it was so interesting because they were all outsiders. Most of these people were outside. They didn't have anybody. And I learned this from my father because he would invite people for Shabbat dinner who didn't have any place to go. And so they were outsiders in the city because they were visiting. And one of the things that I think was so beautiful that I didn't have any hesitation was that I just invited people. I just said, come on over for dinner, bring your friend. I had no idea who these people were. I don't think it's something that anybody would do today. Like we're all so afraid. Oh my God, they're going to come to my house. But I didn't have that. And so stepping into the unknown, this is the reason why I'm telling the stories. To this day, stepping into the unknown is a huge part of being present to something that's possible. And being a guidepost for other people to do the same thing. And I love that. I still love it.
Yeah, Liana,
Yeah,
I did the same. Sorry, Susan. I did the same thing. So with this group from Saturday night, before Susan had done these wonderful Zooms, but when pre-pandemic, I used to host dinners once a month for Renaissance Weekend people. And so I had this list, and as long as you were part of Renaissance Weekend, I think, Pam, you came to one of the dinners. Didn't you come? Yeah. So as long as you were part of Renaissance Weekend, you went on the list. It was for New Yorkers or anyone passing through to New York. And I never knew who was going to come to the dinner. I met Debbie for the first time at one of the dinners, and there were 14 people because that was the most amount of people I could fit in my dining room table. And so whatever 14 people showed up, that was it. And it was a wonderful way to meet people. But I did the same with travel. And so I needed to meet people. I never knew people who were traveling to every country in the world, and went to a group and then met some people. And then there was this one Facebook group. And then, sometimes the problem with some of these tribe groups is people start to get a little nasty. And there's like an hierarchy of who thinks they're more important than other people. So that, right? Like,
leave the group.
Yeah, well, I did. I left the group because there was this with all due respect to the men, there was this mansplaining going on about women and some nastiness to women. So I started a new group on Facebook called Travel the World. Bruce is part of it, and there was a real commitment to people cannot be nasty to other people. That I wouldn't tolerate it within the group. And it's a wonderful way to be able to share ideas of how people travel together, to travel and where they've gone. And it's worked out really well. And so I think you can find groups while it's great to have the dinners right now, we can't, but there are a lot of great groups on Facebook. I would look for smaller groups because I think some of the really big groups become very, people become very self-important in some of these groups when they can hide behind screens.
Agreed. And I think one way to really find your group is first you can start with your profession, look for things within your profession, look for something, another group is possibly your interests, right? So Janice was talking about people who travel the world or people who want to travel to every country in the world. So you can really find a lot of those groups together, and they may not be perfect for you. So don't be afraid about splitting away from it, starting your own if you need that. That's 100% okay. Now, Jax, I see you're taking notes, feverishly taking notes.
I am. I was some stuff that JJ was saying, and I'm a writer, so I'm over here, and instead of typing, I'm like writing a novel, and I'm like, I really need to stop writing.
But I really need to get a costume.
Yeah. I know. And JJ invited me actually to the cosplay one year, and I can't remember why I didn't go, but I was all for dressing up in a costume. I am all for that. Because in my thought is I can be somebody, I don't have to be myself. I can be anything and nobody's going to know. And I just get to go out there and have fun. And I love it. Yeah. JJ's like, it would be.
Yes.
Awesome.
I think everyone's going to know now.
No, some of the things like for me, tribe and like understanding how to draw in a tribe, because it's not only just finding a tribe, but it's also the energy that you put out for a tribe. Mm-hmm. And you can get into a tribe, but if your energy doesn't mesh with that tribe appropriately, it's not going to work for you. And as JJ was talking, some things, being military myself, some things that I noticed through my life is my tribe initially in my life was dictated by just whatever I was doing, wherever I was going, that would be my tribe, such as the military. And it wasn't until I started going through some major trauma in my life that I started realizing I needed to work on my mental health. And through that process of like self-development and really growing internally and healing myself, did I start realizing that there were good people around me that I wasn't connecting to because I was unable to connect to them. But then once I started healing internally, my tribe started to change. And so did my lifestyle, and so did a lot of other things in my life, my work environment and everything. And I really believe that through internal growth, you will also find your tribe in certain ways. So that's how my journey has kind of been. And that's kind of what I was writing about just now.
Ooh,
I'd like to add to that if it's okay, because there was something super meaningful in that. I didn't really know what a tribe was, or if I needed to be in one, and kind of how that worked. And you mentioned something that was important: mental health. My wife was extraordinary, and one kind of coming in when we got together, and we've known each other a long time. But, kind of like having me pull back a little bit, so that I could work on my mental health and kind of get a foundation there. And then she was very instrumental in kind of breaking down a lot of stigmas. So, for instance, you can actually be in a better tribe because you can get around people that are going to work with you and question you, and they're going to kind of counsel you. But as I look, at the tiles on here, right, of the people here, because of her and her influence and me understanding I didn't always have to be an impoverished Appalachian, as like they called us when we grew up here in North Georgia. But I went to California, where I worked with, UC Berkeley, which was not even remotely in a childhood thought. And along the way, I ended up working in in Southern California, where I met Chris. And Chris is definitely not part of my tribe. He has an influence in everything that I'm building. But Chris, in my association with him, led me to meet Chris Roberts, which I worked with Chris Roberts in DEF CON and Black Hat, and now he's a advisor on my company and another project I'm working on. And then, Chris fired me a message. Chris Roberts, when the ILF thing came around and said, hey, you really need to speak with JJ. Hadn't met JJ before. And then from JJ, I end up in here. And then, that led to meeting with Deborah, and now I'm involved in Hackathon. And I think, the important thing that, lesson to learn is that, I started in a place where there are no roads that lead to this moment right now. And there are people that will bring you into their tribe that will show you that there is greater potential and possibility in you than you believe that you have in yourself. And if you follow their wisdom and you follow their support and their coaching, you will live a life that you could not possibly imagine. And at some point you can have some sort of impact. So mental health, extraordinarily important. Understanding that sometimes you take your tribe with you. You'll go this coast, you go over here, and then you'll go back. And Chris, you and I kind of meet in the middle of the country in the airfare, and then we go back and forth. And so super important stuff. And I think that's what a tribe to me, what it means to me, and how I got here.
I love it. Thank you. Susie, can you take yourself off mute? Because I know you have something to share.
Thank you. I think it's important to be really observant in the world and have an open mind that people you may never have thought of you would have a connection with. If you just follow your instinct and get to know them a little bit, it'll really open up your world. I had a teacher once that I wasn't crazy about him, but he said something that really resonated, that he said, I can't teach you anything you can't learn on your own, but what I can do is save you time. So that really stuck with me. And I'm always scanning the world for people that I think might be somebody that I might have a connection with. And the other thing I've learned is something from another mentor, is that to find people that are nourishing and not toxic. So if you get to know the people better and really kind of figure out where they're coming from and what they want from you and what the environment is. And that's why I mentioned last week that I always do a lot of research. So I kind of know what I'm getting into. And then I look for the interesting people. And then it's, again, that generosity of spirit and a curiosity, and to find people that are like-minded, that are as interested in you as you are in them, both personally and professionally. And my late husband used to say 1 and 1 makes 3.
So true. I see a lot of heads nodding.
You know,
This is
I
like
think, sorry, I think
this
that,
is like an entire group of tribe builders,
yeah. And I
right?
think there's a couple of themes that I'm hearing. One is, which I love, is that sometimes when we're first starting out, we identify ourselves either by our profession or by whatever group, but that might not be the tribe. And to get out of that comfort zone, I'm in the field of mental health, and I'll talk about that in a second, and it's so important. And so I never really felt like clinical social workers or the psychologists were actually my tribe when I would go to those organizations. And it wasn't until I left that and reached and branched out that I found my tribes. And so the other piece connected to what, what Patrick was talking about, and maybe Jax and some other people, is this thread connected to the whole mental health thing and knowing yourself, is that sometimes people are walking around with a lot of fear, a lot of shame, a lot of unworthiness, and that they may see a group of people, mentors or people that they really want to be with, but it's the way that they feel about themselves, like they're not worthy enough to even be a part of the tribe. And that has to do with one's shame or guilt. And that's where it really connected to mental health. And so it's really so important that if you're, for those that are watching, that if you're experiencing that kind of feeling like, oh, that they look like a really good nurturing group. I want to be a part of them, but I don't feel deserving. Talk to somebody else and get some help, because you're stopping yourself. And sometimes, I just want to say another thing is, sometimes we especially in our society, we idealize people. So we might see someone that we think we want them to be our mentor because of where they are, but then we go and we speak to them and it's like, oh, wait, what? They're not really supportive. Like, they just made me feel worse, than when I walked into the room. And that doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It means that they're not the right person. It's them. It's not you. So, and I think that happened. I've seen that a lot, because they didn't get there. You want to mentor, and we've talked about this before. And Susie, you just said it, and some other people said it. You want to be with people that are nurturing, no matter how accomplished they are, no matter what award they won. If they're not on your side and they're not invested, and you don't pick that up, get away. Go find somebody else, because somebody who's invested in you, even if they don't have that award, will bring you there and will help you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pam. Got to take yourself off mute, though.
I was just going to say, I may be the prodigal join every now and then person, but one of the last ones I was part of in our mentor project gatherings was talking about the personal board of directors. And when we talked about gathering those people to laugh at your jokes and tell you you're great and give you great feedback, but also be, tough with you and all that sort of thing, those are not always people in your tribe. And even though they might be, helpful and guide you, et cetera, they may or may not be in your tribe. And I think it's interesting how I tend to think of my tribes in much the same way I do my personal board of directors. There are certain tribes I'm more of a follower. Certain tribes I'm more of a, at first until I go. But the one thing, and I think, you really hit the nail on the head. The one thing you need to be when you enter into the tribe is you. And if you're not, it's never going to work. And so I have been, the one below looking at the people above. I've been the one even. I've been the one above helping the ones below. All of those various relationships. And my personal board of directors, even though the two groups two worlds are created in much the same way about the facets of your life and the people that you need around you, I've found that not all of my personal board of directors are a part of my tribe, and I like it that way. So paying attention to who you are and making sure you're not being taken advantage of, and making sure you're reciprocal, and that may or may not be giving the person back immediately what you got from them. It could be that you pay it forward, but knowing the sort of who you are and how you play the game and where everyone sits on the game board is very important, because it can be just as detrimental as it is helpful. And I so appreciate you saying that, Dr. Susan, because that was my early days before I figured out that I didn't know me first. I was in some really horrible places and some tribes I thought I should be a part of. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because there are people probably wondering about what tribe feels like, and it should always feel comfortable, in my opinion, encouraging, positive, comfortable, that sort of thing. Thank you for that.
Hey, Pam, you said originally that you were a follower at the beginning what would it take for you to get out of the shadows and into the light?
Well, it's funny because there are certain tribe or moments in my life where I've felt like a follower in a tribe, but I didn't want to leave it at that because I recognize there's a reciprocity in a tribe scenario in a lot of ways. I don't mean that it's a tit for tat kind of a thing. So I think you grow in, it's like, in many ways, like any kind of relationship, you grow in sort of marriage, like, you grow together or apart. But I think that I have joined into some tribes and felt like I was just, absorbing, right? And really felt like they were okay with it. I was good with it. I felt like me, but I was really growing and growing and growing. And I had to change within that tribe. So I caught myself when I said that I didn't want it to feel less reciprocal. But I am a different player in the hierarchy of various tribes I'm in. And I think it's interesting that that doesn't mean I'm any lesser of a person, right? When I feel a part of it, I feel like I'm exactly where I should be in that tribe. And you just make sure that communication is always there, so that the give and take and the sort of familial and community norms are at play. But yeah, absolutely. I've started as a follower. I've made my own tribes, and I usually use the words bottom, middle, and top. And I'll say, I'm top of this one, I'm middle, I'm bottom of that one. I don't mean bottom, like in the
I got it.
But it's that Austri, that Austri example of bottom, middle, top thing that's been a real helpful for me to understand what I want from them and who I need to be,
Fair. Well, I think as we close out the hour, I think we need to recognize, we could talk about this, we could continue talking about this, but I do want to be mindful of the time. I do want to say that when you are part of a tribe, part of a community of practice, it really is about communication and how you're able to communicate with people. And you've heard a lot of ways that people are communicating with their group. So you could have, as Janice mentioned, a Facebook group. You could have a weekly Zoom, as you've heard Dr. Susan hosts. You could have a listserv. You can have, as Jana mentioned, conferences. There's so many ways that you can start communicating with other people and meeting people who are, there is a common thread, but they are very much, they're the same as you, but they're also quite different than you. And the more you can surround yourself with people who are different, the more you will actually grow and get challenged. So as we round out the hour and we have a full house today, I want to hear from everyone. Where can we hear more about you? Where can people continue the conversation with you if they want to? Janice. You're muted, Janice. Patrick, you're on deck.
I have two websites. I have hearingaccess.com and for my consulting, and janicelintz.com for my travel, consumer education, and advocacy work.
Thank you. Patrick and JJ, you're on deck.
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm with Mentor Project. I'm with Critical Path Security. I'll throw my email address in the chat. You can text me, message me, call me, email me, send a carrier pigeon over. I try to be as available as possible. I had a hard time reaching out. You mentioned something a moment ago. I had a hard time reaching out because I didn't feel like I was worthy to be in some tribes. And I still feel that way sometimes. But I try to be very, very accessible any way I can. So I'll throw information up into the Zoom group chat. We'll go from there.
Thank you. JJ, where can people find out more about you? And Rich, you're on deck. Rich, Chris, and then Jana.
Definitely visit the Mentor Project page. I'm on there as a CTO. I'm also on as an innovation advisor for Moonmark Space. If you haven't checked out Moonmark, highly recommend it. It's just stellar, literally. And Also, JJ Snow on LinkedIn. That's me.
Thank you. Rich.
Yeah, I would say, by the way, great session. So many nuggets of insights. I feel really privileged to be part of this. Ways to find me, Rich Makolu on LinkedIn. Fun fact, that was actually how I met JJ, and thank you, JJ, for pulling me into this tribe.
I'm so glad you're here, Rich.
Thank you, Chris.
Guess I have to unmute now. Okay. So my name's Chris Mitzloff, and I am part of the Mentor Project. Obviously, that's usually the best place to find me, but obviously you can also find me on LinkedIn with my name, Chris Mitzloff. You probably won't spell it right. So it's MIT, Z as in zebra, LAFF. So, but I'm available for anyone to reach out for any questions or anything that they'd like to talk with about.
Thank you. And I do want to, before I get to Janet, give the plug, the Mentor Project, which is hosting us tonight. If you have a need for a mentor, they have just every industry imaginable. You just send them a message on the contact page and they will hook you up with a mentor. Jana.
Hello. So I have a LinkedIn page that has all my current information. I'm in the process of putting my website together. So I'm wide open to be contacted at janamarie55@gmail.com.
Thank you. Pam and Mary, you're up next.
Let's see, my website is Authentum, like the momentum of authenticity, authentum.com. So Pamela at authentum.com. But most recently, you can find what I've been doing lately on organizational justice at a bit.ly/orgjustice. And I'm looking to find ways in which we can create inclusive diversity in fair and equitable working practices. I want to change the system so diversity can work. And so if you want to look at that, I'd love it. And I'd love to hear what my tribe thinks of it. But what an honor to be out with all of you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this because I feel better knowing all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do encourage you to look at the organizational justice. Pam has a background in positive psychology and she brings that and it's fascinating. Moonmark Mary.
Yes. Here's the moon. What a great session. Thank you all so much and such a pleasure to be here. I would like to offer just a little nugget on tribalism and how as we go through life we have different tribes depending on what we're doing, and it's okay to go into those different tribes. So that's probably another session, and it's a really cool one that I would love to participate in. So I am the best place to reach me is Mary Hagee on LinkedIn or mary.hagee@moonmark.space. And we are all here to say thank you so much to Debbie Heiser and the Mentor Project, and you, Ruth, for bringing us together, and JJ for bringing so many of us into this particular tribe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I hope you get your lights back on.
I do too, but I've got a great fire here, so no.
And now you know how to light up your face. You have learned this from an award-winning photographer.
Yeah. I definitely got to get a better photographer.
We're going to have the Susans, Dr. Susan Bernstone, followed by Susie Katz.
So you can reach me at the Mentor Project, and you can reach me at my LinkedIn and website is in the process of being updated, but you can probably reach me there, or just send me an email, drsusanbernstone@gmail.com without the hyphen. Look me up on the internet, Google, just please get in touch with me. I'd love to continue the conversation. And thank you again. And yes, I want to echo that. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Ruth, and everybody that's on here. You're all amazing. And I just flattered and honored to just be included in this with everybody. And Jax, I look forward to having a conversation with you. Yay.
And Dr. Susan has great shows on public access television. So I am excited to be seeing more of those and the podcasts that Chris is doing.
And if anybody wants to join us on Wednesday night, we are doing 7 o'clock, an hour of gratitude. So an hour of gratitude at 7 o'clock. I will post the link for it. It'll be on a Zoom and on Facebook, and you're all welcome to join. I would love it and be honored for you to join in Wednesday night, an hour of gratitude.
I'll see you there.
Thank you. Susie Katz.
So you can find me literally on 2 videos that I made, but I spend most of my time at my nonprofit photowings.org, photowings.org. I'm also part of the Mentor Project, and you can find me there. I made a video with 1 hour with a mentor, and you can find that there. And if you want to see some of my personal work, you could go to susankatzphotography.com. And I'm honored to be part of this community as well. It's been a big part of all of our lives. We are our own tribe.
That we are. Thank you. Jax, followed by Liana and Bruce.
Hey, all right. I'm pretty easy to find. Just go to the Mentor Project website. I'm the COO, and then use that name. You can find me on LinkedIn. I also have a tech blog. It's called Beans and Bites blog. So like coffee beans and tech bites, BYTES blog.com. This has been amazing. This is the first time for me to attend one of these events for the Monday night, and I'm blown away. And JJ, you're the super connector. I tell you that all the time. If you've ever read the book, Never Eat Alone, she is the super connector. So very happy to be here. And everybody that I've even engaged with a little bit, it's been awesome. And Dr. Susan, I can't wait to connect with you. So thanks.
Thanks, Jax. Liana.
Thank you for always doing this. Is such a beautiful, beautiful space to be in. So you can find me anywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Best place to come and get in touch with me is my latest project, which is called Emotional Eloquence. So you can reach me at emotionaleloquence.com. It is something thanks to JJ that I just got to present at the beautiful Thrive event, and it's been an amazing experience. I believe that we need more language to connect the emotion that we feel, because we don't know what we don't know. So emotional eloquence has been the path that I've been taking, and it's been a really wonderful conversation, eye-opening. I'm learning a lot. Other people are asking for it. So just connect with me at emotionaleloquence.com.
Love it. Thank you. And from my favorite closet, my wannabe closet, Dr. Bruce Wiley.
Yeah, well, it looks like my cats took off. So I have no tiaras.
We can get you one.
Yeah. I might have to take you up on that. So you can find me, Bruce Wiley, if you Google Bruce Wiley. If you Google just Bruce Lee, you'll get a bunch of websites about fists of fury and lightning fists. Those aren't mine. So Bruce Wiley, also on social media, Twitter, etc. If you do Bruce Wiley anything, you'll probably get websites like Forbes. You'll get my writing. There's also an increasing number of websites. If you put in Bruce Wiley hot dog, you'll get more articles and websites, an increasing number each week. So yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't want to be disappointed that you're not the Fist of Fury guy.
My name is Dr. Ruth Gotian. I can be reached at ruthgotian.com. I am also on Forbes. Just put in my name, Ruth Gotian. Tomorrow, there's an article about setting goals and actually achieving them. I am on all the social media. It's just my name, Ruth Gotian. I want to thank Dr. Debbie Heiser and the Mentor Project for hosting us each and every week. I hope everyone has an incredible Thanksgiving. And I have a topic for next week. What do you guys think if we talk about how to overcome imposter syndrome? I know we have all faced it, right?
We're going to try to do this in an hour.
Yes.
The multiple part series.
I spent like 24 years.
I'm going to start with this. I want to leave you with this. 70% of people suffer from imposter syndrome, including me. And everyone, including Michelle Obama, including Justice Sotomayor, Tom Hanks, no one's immune from it. And I'm sure if I ask anyone who's on this panel here to raise their hand if they have imposter syndrome, I am sure many people will raise their hand, sometimes even two hands. But there are ways to overcome this imposter syndrome. And I know we spoke about it a little bit before, but I think it's worth having another episode on. And we can talk more about communities of practice if that comes in. So we will see you guys next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for everyone. I am loving this each and every week. I learned so much from all of you. Thank you to the Mentor Project for hosting us. Bye.
Thank you to all of our listeners and sponsors who've made this podcast possible. You can find out more about Dr. Ruth Gotian to optimize your success, live events held every Monday at 8 p.m. EST by going to our Facebook page at The Mentor Project. I am Jack Scott, the Chief Operations Officer here at The Mentor Project and the host of Meet Your Mentor, which posts every Wednesday. If you're interested in working with The Mentor Project, please reach out to us by going through our website at mentorproject.org. We look forward to seeing you back here next week to learn more about how you can optimize your success.